Chapter 1. Diabetes and its Effects. Diabetes is a disease that affects the pancreas. More specifically, it's characterized by the body's cells not being able to receive insulin from the beta cells that secrete it within the pancreas. We're not dealing with anatomy, though, so I'll get straight to the point. Type 1 diabetes, or juvenile diabetes, occurs when the body's autoimmune system targets and destroys the beta cells. Currently, at least, there is no cure because, regardless of how many beta cells are implanted, the body will continue to destroy them. Live with it. Harsh, maybe, but let's face it, you only have one option if you're planning on living. Finding out that you have an incurable disease can get a bit nerve-wracking, and that's where this guide comes in. Before getting started, though, there is one all-important thing that needs to be understood. Type 1 diabetes is an illness that is reactive, not proactive. That means how it affects you is based almost entirely on your own actions and decisions in life. Because diabetes is just as much a mental disease as a physical one, if not more. I'll start with some of the emotional effects. Initial effects of diagnosis. In my case, I was sitting in a Kaiser hospital lobby waiting on some blood tests. I remember my mom crying, but I really didn't mind it all that much. It wasn't cancer or anything, right? This is the usual reaction, but we'll talk about the other end of the spectrum too. Anyway, I felt fine, so there wasn't too much to be worried about. If you're feeling this way, it's because of a few things. First of all, you're most likely under the effects of high blood sugar. Having high blood sugar has a tendency to make people agitated as well as tired. A combination of both over long periods of time causes a shutdown of emotion. I had just quit caring, for the most part, so there wasn't much that could rouse me enough to actually get me scared or angry. Secondly, you're already experiencing, or have experienced, the worst blood sugar fluctuations you're going to have for a while to come. Once the problem is discovered, life will actually get easier for a while, even if you hardly do anything you're supposed to do. This got me thinking that the worst was over, and that I had nothing to worry about. So, whether or not you freak out when you get the diagnosis usually doesn't matter. The end result is the same. This may seem like a good feeling to have, but in my situation, and perhaps yours too, it wasn't. Feelings don't just disappear or reappear without a reason. I was still lacking in the emotion department from years of living on autopilot. Add to this the feeling that the worst was over and the fact that I was just hitting my teens, and you can guess the result. Many new diabetics gain a feeling of invincibility shortly after being diagnosed. This is one of the most important times of one's life as a diabetic. The next few months will likely determine what kind of attitude towards life you'll have for years to come. Honeymoon phase. Usually, when juvenile diabetes is discovered, the beta cells in the pancreas are still producing small amounts of insulin. It can take a few months, or even a few years, for the beta cells to die off completely. This is called the honeymoon phase, for reasons I can't really explain. Once the beta cells are gone, control over blood sugars will wane, and so will that feeling of invincibility. I'm sure by now, some of you are wondering what I'm going on about. Let's backtrack and cover the basic terms associated with type 1 diabetes and how to incorporate them into your daily life.